welcome back.
Thanks.
So before we get started, just want to remind the purpose of this interview is more of just between you and me is more safe, confidential. But I would like to say for this time, this interview, we are being recorded. And then, like I said before we start, I would like to say we have our exit here. We then have stairs to go down in case any of fire or emergency exit. Out to the door to the right here will be the bathroom all the way at the end with the water fountains too. So, all right. Before we get into the deep end, I just want to ask, what has your week or day been so far?
It's been good. Nothing too crazy going on. Just clinical and stuff.
How has your break been?
It was good. Yeah. Just
Relaxing, not need to worry about school as much?
yeah, which was nice for sure.
All right, now getting back into it. Just to do a brief overview of what we talked about roughly 2 weeks ago now is that we talked about, once again, your procrastination with studying. How did that affect you, especially with our last exam with pathology, especially it being immediately 1 week after we took our previous exam. Just wanted to talk, and we talked about how you were starting to study early, that maybe helped you a little bit, and see if that got the outcome you want. So, saved here. And we also talk about some of the methods you did, like creating note cards, studying earlier, and then there's also using Quizlets from either other people or even your classmates like Maeve. So, talked about that. And with today's topic, I would like to open up to either continuing the topic or if you want to bring in a new topic that you want to talk about.
Probably something new since we don't really have a ton of classes anymore. I feel like I'm struggling with not necessarily time management, but just my days have been super busy, so I'm having a hard time finding extra time for things that I want to do or just relaxing time.
So what exactly makes you so busy? I know you talked about your clinicals, and classes, but what else actually how does your schedule look like?
Normally Monday, Tuesday, I'm in the OWL all day, so roughly 9 to 4:30 or 5 usually, so that consumes a lot of my day. And then Monday we have class 5 to 7. Wednesdays is my one day where I only have something 12 to 4 and then 5 to 7, so I have a little bit of the morning, which is nice. And then Thursday I have clinical in the morning, and then again clinical in the afternoon, and Friday I have clinical all day, so it's mostly just being in the OWL or going to Freighter.
With how busy your schedule has been, how have you exactly felt? Do you feel like you're tired? You felt like it's more doable than since school is almost over, so you don't need to study as much besides for this class?
Yeah, I think it's nice that we don't have a ton of class because I wouldn't really have a lot of time to study, so at least I don't have to worry about that. But I just feel so drained at the end of my day, at the end of the week, just because I don't really have a lot of time to chill and relax.
With having now school basically almost over and just this class, which ends in roughly 2 weeks, and only roughly 2 assignments and 2 exams, do you feel since it's more of done at our own pace, that your load for working or trying to include your free time is has improved when compared to, let's say, 3 weeks ago when we still had our pathology class?
Yeah, definitely, because I would have to study a lot more before, and now I don't have to focus as much on school, so when I'm home I can get some relaxing time. I just don't, my days are super full, so there isn't a ton of excess hours in my day.
Do you get breaks or any rest time in between your clinicals?
No, I mostly just go straight from one to the other if I'm doing both on the same day. In the OWL, we're pretty much busy all day. There's really no time when nobody is in there. There's not something that I could be doing.
So today's you're mainly in the OWL. Are you just working specifically with your sport, or are you working more with just an all around until technically the MAT ones come in and help?
I'm just with basketball right now, but my like MAT1 has been in there a few times, which is nice. But then I'm also in charge of her. Like Kenny told me that she is my responsibility, so I'm like busy like teaching her how to do everything and making sure that she understands what the expectations are. So that just adds another like load onto my plate.
With that like responsibility of you trying to learn everything and basically have Kenny give you the free reins, but also having you teach someone, how does that responsibility like feel onto you?
I like that he trusts me with like teaching her, but it does definitely add like an extra like stress on me, and makes me, I can't just like chill when there's nobody in there anymore. I now have to be like making sure that I'm like teaching her things and keeping her up to date and making sure that she understands what we're doing. So it definitely adds another stress onto my days.
All right. And then with like those maybe even just a slight downtime, do you feel like just maybe even like 5 minutes helps even if you get it?
Yeah, it is nice. Like if we randomly have like a 5 or 10 minute break, just to like sit. Usually I'm like documenting, like doing the notes, but that helps just to like not have to talk to anybody and just like be in my own space for a little bit, for sure.
I'm guessing you've been introduced to all the players already?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Alright, continue on. So then, how do else want to ask this question? So I'm just gonna just kind of paraphrase back. So it feels like what you've been saying is that you have been busy since basically the last time we talked, being more involved with your clinicals, being with the Marquette men's basketball team Monday and Tuesday, mainly from, like you said, 9 to 4. Then immediately going to class after with Monday. Wednesday, splitting the time up again between the clinical with the basketball team and then going to class, and then splitting Thursday and Friday between your practicum 4 clinical and then your practicum 5 clinical, which makes it seem like it increased your load drastically, that you don't have enough time for yourself or even just to relax. But how about your weekends? Is the weekends roughly the only time you have like a full break?
Yes, but the last like since the 2nd or 3rd week of June, I've been traveling every weekend. So while it's nice to like see family or do whatever that is, like it's not necessarily like relaxing to have to travel. But starting this weekend, I'm only gone like Saturday night, which will be good to have like all of Friday and like the morning of Saturday to just like chill. But my weekends have been super busy the last like month or two, so that doesn't help either.
Since you said like you've been busy travel, but just the fact that you get to go back home or to see family, does that reassure you, like to make sure like, oh, since I'm with family, maybe there's some downtime just to relax?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, when I'm home, there definitely is downtime. It's just like the fact that I have to travel to get there it's a lot. Like the 4-hour flight home isn't, while I get to just like sit on the plane, it's still like traveling, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then you're from Seattle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've been home, you said the last couple weekends?
Well, I was home the second weekend in June, and then I went to Florida the weekend after, and then was home for our break for that, like those 2 weekends. And then last weekend I was down in Chicago helping coach a lacrosse tournament. So
Even though like your weekend is not as like restful as you think, like you hoped it would be, the things that you're doing, like traveling, go see family, or coaching, the sport that you love, do you still feel like you could do that without that much rest, just because you're going to do stuff that you like or going to see family?
yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like as like stressful because I get to do something that I enjoy, but I just like my days are busy, so by the end of it I'm super tired.
So have you tried to do, like, create up any time to like ensure that you have your rest breaks, or even like maybe just even between your clinicals, just like maybe 5 to 10 minutes from, let's like you said, Freya to back here to campus for your other clinical. Have you tried to, like, even with that drive, just like try to either mentally recuperate or like refresh before you head in from one to another?
Yeah, on like Thursday when I go from one to another, I just like take the whole drive and just kind of like chill, and then I'll park and just kind of sit there for a few minutes to like regroup before I go in, because Thursdays when I get there it's super busy because it's right before practice, so like everyone's in there at once, so it's nice to have a few minutes to just like chill before I go in and get busy.
With how busy, especially since it's the summer seasons where they introduce the players a lot more to one another and try to get them either reconditioned or up to par to what they want to be. Do you feel like, even though it is that busy, like it's kind of like fun to experience that?
Totally, I do think it's super fun, and I really enjoy like getting to know all the guys. So yeah, it doesn't seem necessarily like work exactly when I'm in there, but just like my social battery is like dead by the end of the day, because I do enjoy talking to them, but it does get to be a lot when I'm talking like to people all day, every day, so.
I can see it, especially since, like you said, you're going from one place to another, especially, I don't know exactly what you do at your first clinical, so like, how is that one actually, I should ask?
It's good. We basically, on Wednesdays, he works with the orthopedic surgeon doing like post-op appointments or like pre-ops or like steroid injections, and then Thursdays he works with the plastic surgeon. And we basically like room people, so we're like greeting them, talking to them, figuring out what's going on, and then I usually go back in with the doc and just like, then I just get to listen, so it's not as draining on my social battery, because I'm mostly just kind of like hanging out. I'll just like say hi in the beginning, so that one's definitely not as bad, but still have to be like on and ready to talk.
Okay, moving on, let's see, how do I want to ask this? Alright, so seeing that you are almost basically busy 24/7, have you tried to create up either techniques, methods to ensure you either have enough rest or have some downtime to just relax or and recuperate, or even just time to just like basically unplug from society and just like almost like meditate? Have you tried like any stuff like that?
Yeah, usually in the mornings I like try to wake up early, and I like to do yoga, so I like do yoga, which helps me like just like center myself, and like I can just like be quiet and whatever. I'll do either like just regular yoga or like a sculpt yoga or something, which definitely helps to just like be by myself. But in the afternoons it's hard because I don't get to see my roommates a lot, so like that's the time I get to like talk to them and hang out with them, so even though I might be like at home, I'm not necessarily like by myself. I'm like talking with them or eating dinner with them or whatever, so.
You think having that social action for people you're really close to like kind of helps recharge that social battery?
Yeah, it definitely does, because it doesn't feel like work or whatever, you know, like when I'm talking to them, whereas like in the training room or at Freighter, I have to be more like, not careful about what I say, but just, I have to be more aware of what I say, whereas at home I like don't have to.
Trying to see what else we want to do. Since you said you've been doing yoga, like exactly how early do you wake up and like not to get personal, but like,
Yeah.
do you think also just waking up that early may play into a factor that also maybe kind of drains your energy?
Totally. I try to go to bed pretty early so that like waking up early isn't as bad. Like I usually try to go to bed by like 10 or 10:30 every night, and then usually like this morning I woke up at like 7:30 just to make sure I had time to like do that and eat breakfast and like shower and stuff. But on the days that I go into the AL, it's probably about 7:30 every morning, I would say, which going to bed then at 10:30, I still get a good amount of sleep, but it definitely, sometimes it's hard to get up in the morning and like the end of the week especially.
I was gonna say, like, how do you feel, like, especially when there's some days where you just like, you feel drained and then you have to wake up like the same time. How do you exactly feel on those days compared to like a normal day? Like, let's say coming from Sunday to Monday, like you just kind of like recuperated for a day. How do you feel like from a day with a little bit more rest compared to a day where you came from both clinicals, you slept, what did you say, early, but then are waking up early?
Yeah, usually like the beginning of the week isn't as hard because I'm getting more sleep and I'm a little bit more like relaxed. But yeah, definitely towards the end of the week it gets a little bit hard, and sometimes I'll just like sleep in if I need the extra sleep. But
Besides yoga, is there any other techniques or methods that have you used to just try to like almost bring yourself to like think, like it's almost done. I'm almost done with the day. Just let me get through this.
yeah, I like to go on walks like in the afternoons after like clinical or class, even just for like 20-30 minutes. It just helps me like put my headphones in and not talk to anybody and just like be outside, which helps a lot. I like being outside since I'm inside all day. No windows usually, so it's nice to be outside for a little bit.
You're able to get to smell fresh nature,
Yeah.
even if it's not as good sometimes around here, and just get some sunshine.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. We'll talk a little bit more, and then if you want, I could give us a 5-minute break just to get some water, use the bathroom if you need to. So since we talked about the two methods that you tried, either yoga in the morning and going on walks usually later in the day, especially after clinical or class is over, and we talked about how it make you feel like either rejuvenated on certain days, and then other days like you said, further in the week, if sometimes get harder just because you have done the same routine and then just kind of get longer, because especially with us getting closer now to school, some of this thing, like not exercise, but like practices, especially for your basketball clinical, starting to ramp up. It increases your time with them. But it seems like you're doing a great job trying to create those times for you. Is there any other maybe methods or goals that you probably want to like think about, especially transitioning from the summer where our load is light, then transitioning to the fall, which I think for you compared to the rest of your classmates like us, you have a larger load besides class, because then you still have your basketball clinical, but also including now our high school rotation, which we have to be there almost anytime we get to.
Yeah, luckily like once high school starts, I have to focus like most of my energy on that. So for the first like August, September, I won't really be going into the AL at all unless I have like a lot of extra time. Like if they have stuff on the weekends, I'll probably go in. But yeah, I am a little bit worried about that because we have class like mostly all morning and then going straight to the high school in the afternoon and having to like study for tests and stuff. I think that'll be a little bit challenging for sure. So I definitely need to have like a routine in place, I think, to make sure that I get everything done in the day that I want to. Like I always want to work out and have time to study or chill or whatever. So I'm a little bit nervous, but hoping to have a schedule in place.
Have you started to look at like our schedule? Because I know, I think last week during class I kind of referenced about like we actually have an 8 a.m. class on Fridays.
Yes.
So like I know like that's the usual days we all use to like sleep in a little bit, since we don't need to be in clinical until usually maybe noon or maybe even 2 for some of us.
Yeah.
But have you started to look at the schedule to start like kind of map out like, okay, this is where my class is, this is where maybe I have a small break before I have to get to clinical?
Yeah, I've like started to. I don't really remember when our classes are like right now. I know we have that Friday 8 a.m., which I'm not thrilled about, but luckily, I won't have to be there till like 12:30 or 1 on Fridays, so at least I'll have like a few hours to like come back and nap if I want, or just like hang out the rest of the days. I feel like I'll probably go straight there or go in the Al if I have time, like in the morning before going into high school. But yeah, I need to look at that more and just kind of like get a good schedule going.
I know you said you feel kind of nervous, especially with the load we're taking for classes, and especially it's technically our last in-person class at Marquette this fall. But do you also kind of feel, especially with our high school rotation, feel like that sense of excitement, like, yes, your load is harder, but we also get to experience what most people want to, which is football.
Yeah, I am excited. I don't know that I necessarily want to do football in my future, but I'm excited to work in the high school because that's always something I've found interesting, and I wanted to become a trainer because of my high school trainer, so I'm definitely really excited to see how it works, just to see like in the future if that's ever something I want to do or if I would want to like stick with college. So yeah, it'll be a lot, but I am excited, and hopefully even there, you know, getting there earlier on those days. They still have class till like 3, so hopefully I can have like a little bit of extra time to just like sit and do homework or whatever needs to be done.
So yeah, speaking of your experience, it seems like it's everyone who has the same experience, either their interactions with their high school AT or even basically an injury. Because I know like with some of our classmates, some of them, even me, like it's an injury that led us to talk more with an AT, and then either get to know them more or even just like the rehab process. Like for me, I was playing football. Well, playing football. I actually got injured before our first game, but like being able to do my rehab with him and then still want to be part of the football team. I kind of talked with him about that, and he kind of invited me to join his staff. So I see like some of the same experience between like, at least in our like class, our MAT2, that it's all started with either an injury or just our interactions with our AT to help get us to like open those doors to the athletic training path. Right. Then speaking about, like I said, back to our fall, have you started to try to talk with Kenny about your possible schedule? Like I know, at least for me, he may seem intimidating, even though he's actually a really fun guy, really great guy. Have you started to try to talk about like set up a schedule, like, okay, this is what's my class schedule is, this is my clinical for the fall, and then this is maybe the spare time I could do to help out with basketball?
Yeah, we've already had like a long discussion about what my like plan is gonna be, and we're both on the same page in that like in August and September, like my full focus is high school, so if I can't come in to the Al at all, like that's okay, because I need to make sure that I get the football experience. But then once football season ends, we're hoping that I can like switch over like more to basketball and like 50-50 time, just because games will be starting soon and he wants me there for those. So and I've talked to the high school trainer too about that plan, and she seems to not really care, so I don't know, but yeah, we're starting to figure it out for sure, in hopes that I can be there almost full time once the football season is over.
I was going to lead up to my question too, is like, so especially if your football season that extends, like let's say playoffs, into the normal time you're supposed to be helping, is the only days you're supposed to go in then would be mainly the game days?
Yeah, probably, but the football team hasn't made it into playoffs in the last like 7 years, so there's not a lot of high hopes for that, which could be good for me to be able to switch over earlier, but if they make it, I'll figure it out and we'll make sure that I get time in both places.
Do you kind of hope that like you don't make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I would love for the kids to make it, but I think for me personally it would be easier if they don't, but I don't know. It'd be fun for them to make it since they haven't made it in a long time, so I'd make it work.
Since we've been going for 25 minutes, I'll give us roughly a 5-minute break. So you can get some water. I know I am, wherever I put my water bottle. And when I still have the video recording, so just be mindful with certain things. We can also just chat normally too. So. Let's see. Skills. Is it not? Hmm. Why is that not in here? I don't know why it's not in there, but let's see what else we can do. We have roughly 15 minutes, so just go a brief overview of what we've been talking about. So, talked about how your schedule's been busy from the start, from clinical Monday from 9 to 4 until class starts, class from 5 to 7. Tuesday, mainly at clinical. Wednesday, same thing as Monday, clinical to class. Then Thursday and Friday, splitting the clinical times between Freighted and here. And then, at least for the last few weekends, traveling to either go back home or go to places with family or friends. That's also increased your load of making you tired, but also rejuvenating you because you're spending time with the people you love or like to hang out. And we also talked about some methods that you have used, such as yoga in the morning, usually early in the week where you still have that energy, and then kind of sleep in more as the week progresses, and also going to walks after class, also helping you just refresh your mind, reconnect with nature, get some little sunshine. So then, if you don't have any papers, right?
Nope.
All right. You can just try to think of it in your head, but let's try to create a SMART goal of what goals or actions you want to take, especially to ensure that you have enough rest time to either just relax or enjoy personal time for you. So starting with, let's see where it is, make sure I know it's smart. So starting with S with smarts, is there anything specific you want to do to help increase or almost ensure that you have time to rest or even just some downtime to recuperate?
Yeah, I think before I go to bed, just like setting an hour aside to be by myself, like go in my room, not be around my roommates, not be on my phone, just to kind of like be myself. Either like watch TV, read a book, something like that. Just like 1 hour before I go to bed to just be alone.
Alright. Anything else you would want to do that? Maybe that could help increase.
You know, I like going on a walk every day, and I haven't been doing that like every day, so I think that could be something to do too. Just in the afternoon, go on a walk, whether it's a short one or a long one.
So you want to, for right now, like you said, personal downtime, either read a book or watch TV or do anything more personal for 1 hour before you go to bed, and then to ensure you that you take at least a walk almost every day to also recuperate. And then moving on to our next portion. M, which stands for measurable, is like how long, like the first part you said you want to do it for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say for the walk, how long do you want to do this, and for when do you want to like reach that goal, like where it becomes almost constant, or at least you have a routine for it?
I think a 30-minute walk, at least 30 minutes, trying for like 4 times a week. I think that's like a reasonable thing that I could actually do.
Next one is action oriented. What specific actions are you going to try to take to kind of ensure that the two goals that you said, personal downtime and almost get a 30-minute walk every day, what are some like actions that you try to ensure that you at least start this off, even though it may be slow, but then progressively, hopefully have it become a routine?
I definitely need to, like, after I get home from class, I think something I need to do is just, like, immediately go on a walk, like, not wait around a while, because I think that's when I start to get, like, tired and don't want to go anymore. So I think if I, like, whenever I first get home after clinical or class, just, like, changing and going on a walk right away to make sure that I actually do it instead of just, like, sitting around and procrastinating it. And then for like the hour downtime, I think that kind of goes off like the walk. Like I need to just like get everything that I want to do in the day like done with early, so that I have like an hour from like 9 to 10 or whatever, so that there's like nothing else I could be doing. I've got all my work done, my notes done, my my walk, my workout, whatever, just like done, so that there really isn't anything else that I should be doing.
Moving on is, I forgot what it truly means, but realistic. So like, I think I may be wrong, but realistic is like, how realistic do you believe that this goal can be achieved by you, especially with the load, even trying to continue it from now to summer to fall, then maybe fall into winter, and then coming up with the next semester, or I should say spring semester, being our full immersive, and then continuing that into once we're done with school?
I think it's pretty realistic, especially like the walk on 4 days a week, I think is good. I mean, obviously I would love to do it more if I can, but I think 4 is a very like realistic goal. Especially like from like the Monday through Friday. Usually on the weekends I go on walks or runs anyway, but I think for during the week, 4 times a week, having just like 1 day off that I don't do it is a very realistic thing that I can do. And same with the hour of downtime. I think that might be a little bit challenging during the school year when we have more classes and like more homework and stuff that I'm trying to do, but that might, instead of being an hour, it might go down to like 30 minutes, but I think even just that is a good amount of time to just chill before.
Especially since we probably have kind of the hardest classes, especially with Chris again teaching us, which I know most of us really don't like, and then having not a new professor, but I forgot what's her name. I think it was Mary, teaching us for technically two classes. It was upper and spine rehab with the lectures and lab, especially with her lab being at 8 a.m. on a Friday. But then still also having our, probably, if I'm just gonna just assume our favorite professor, Dr. Smith, teaching us still, even though she technically did retire. So that's good. Do you also believe that this may be achievable to continue on to your full immersive, and then after that continue this routine basically for the rest of your life until
Yeah, I think it is. Just making, like, I think it would be not realistic if I was trying to go on a walk every day. Like, I just don't see that happening. But definitely 4 times a week is for sure doable. And again, like I said earlier, the hour may go down to like 30 minutes during the school year, but depending on what day of the week it is, and that might have to come to like, oh, I do that like 3 times a week. I take an hour just with like basketball game days. I'm not gonna be home until like probably midnight, so I don't think it's realistic for me to take like an hour before going to bed. So I think that might, once those days come around, moving it to either 30 minutes, like 4 times a week or something, just to make sure that I have time, but I'm not like staying up too late.
I know you kind of referenced this earlier when we were talking, but would your downtime also technically include like going to exercise, or is that like a separate time?
No, I think that can count too, because just like being by myself is more so what I count that as, doing something I enjoy, whether it's watching a show I like or reading a book or like exercising. I think totally can count for that too. So I could combine the walk and that.
So just to kind of rephrase that or paraphrase that, so you include exercises as also your downtime, and then especially with, like you said, when the school year starts, your roughly 1 hour break may drop down to 30 minutes break. Are you gonna try to find another time to include maybe continue the exercises, or maybe just do like roughly 30-minute workouts to almost like the 4 times a week?
Yeah, I think I'll try to work out every day still. I might like skip some days, so I think it'd be realistic to say like 5 days a week I would try to do like a set workout time, and then the other days maybe just like an easy walk or something. But I do want to continue to work out, because that always makes me feel better and like more ready for the day when I do that.
Moving on to our timely portion, you kind of talked about earlier, it's like doing this roughly 4 times a week, starting from now, maybe continue it also into the spring, and then with the summer, still not transitioning yet to the fall, keeping that possible 1 hour time break before you go to bed, either doing personal downtime, reading a book, watching TV, doing something that you love, to then maybe once school starts, figuring out how your schedule will fit, dropping that maybe down to 30 minutes to see if that will also keep your schedule in line, but still doing the same thing, keeping that either doing personal downtime, but then also, like you said, in the fall, maybe including the 30-minute downtime within the 4 times a week to also maybe exercise, depending if you got time earlier, because I know most of the time at night, once it hits a specific time, most people are like all done and just like, all right, I'm in my apartment or in my house, just time to relax.
Yeah.
And then lastly, for a SMART goal, it's kind of included sometimes in it's called self-determined. So it refers to the ability to make choices and set goals. So how, I would probably say is, how determined are you to like see this through and maybe also include down the line further goals of like, all right, I'm able to continue this 1 hour of my personal downtime before bed. Maybe there's another space within the day that you can include another break for you. So like, how do you see yourself being like, once you get this routine set, that you may be also to include further goals?
I think I would say that is very likely to happen. I think that starting like little with these goals will help, and then, you know, as I get them like set and stuff, I can have more goals about like, you know, waking up early, making sure I do like some sort of like other exercise in the morning to get me ready for the day, or something like that, or have like a midday break where I can just like sit.
And just to go over again, the SMART goals for specific, we talked about some of the goals either being personal downtime and ensuring to take a walk roughly every day, or either being 4 to 5 times a week. Measurable, either trying to see that it is doable to maintain roughly that 30-minute walk a day, doing that 4 to 5 times a week. With action oriented, you want to make sure you either do it as soon as you come back from class or your clinical, to make sure you still have that 1 hour or 30 minutes of like energy still to do it, to help just recuperate you. And also you want to ensure that when you take these hour or 30-minute break, that like early in the day, everything that you've done is done, so you have that time to actually do it. Yeah. Then realistic, you do believe that you 100% could get this done with maintain that 4 times a week, and being able to continue this from the fall to the winter, then the winter to the spring, and then including this almost permanently into your daily routine once you graduate from Marquette. And then timely, we talked about the same thing, just doing roughly 4 to 5 times a week. In the summer, maybe an hour. Then in the fall to winter, 30 minutes. And like you said, it may change during class as you get more adjusted to your schedule, especially with the load maybe fluctuating between some days or some weeks being very high, and then maybe some weeks where with the football season ending for you, if you make it or may not make it to the playoffs, where you could go back to low. And then self-determined, you do believe once you get this the goals you set down in a routine down, that you maybe be able to include further goals.
Yeah.
Alright, so then with these, or at least rough SMART goal done, how do you feel of like just basically talking about these SMART goals and seeing like basically just having it said out loud?
It feels good. I think it's nice to like say everything and go through all the specifics, just to make sure that I like understand every aspect, and that I have something like set in stone that I can think about and make sure that I'm doing.
So then let's do a general recap to end off our interview. We start off by reflecting about how the week and day been. Kind of went over our previous topic, which is with procrastinating, and then introducing a new topic, either maybe still intertwined with your procrastination, but instead of with studying, it's more or less trying to either get stuff done to ensure that you have your break, to ensure that you, with your heavy load of classes and clinicals, get some time to just rest and recuperate. Talk about some goals and like methods that you use, either being yoga, waking up early, and then those daily walks you try to get in. Then we also created a SMART goal with talking about the same methods or different methods and possible goals that could be added once this routine is get used to. All right, let's see. All right. Since we have roughly, I think, 2-ish weeks into our next interview, let's see if you could try to at least start with one of them. One of the goals you said, either being the personal downtime an hour or taking out 30 minutes. See how you can include that slowly. See if that also changes that your heavy load, and see with that happening if you could be able to like start feeling that like relaxation, like how we did for like our break. So you can either choose which goal first, and then once we get back to our next interview, we'll talk about like how you feel with that. Did that help you feel like more relaxed, or did it actually like kind of like messed up your schedule? But with that, I think we could call that a day. Once again, I'd like to thank you for coming in.